Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.
And I listen to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes. You're listening to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast with your host, Machel St. Patrick here, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Don't worry, people. Santoki will return. Soon come. He will soon be back on the show. You know how Santoki does, and hopefully his Wi-Fi will be banging as well. If this is your first time ever listening to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, then the first thing you need to do is press like. You need to share this video and you need to subscribe to this video. Big up anybody who has become a recent subscriber. The last time we did a live show, when I checked the numbers afterwards, so at the start of the last live show, I think we were on 4,030 subscribers. And when I checked the subscriber numbers today, we're currently on 4,117. I think. So big up everybody who joined us and became a subscriber to our channel after that last live. Hopefully more of you jump on the subscriptions today. Click below. You know the drill. You know how we do. Also, of course, you can see the ticker tape at the bottom. You can find us on all social platforms at Carib Cricket. It's scrolling on the ticker tape below on Twitter and on Instagram. You can join the Facebook group. It's private, but you just have to say you want to be in it and I'll let you in. Just type in Caribbean Cricket Podcast on Facebook and you can join us there as well. What else am I missing? What other social? Oh, our website. Head to our website, www.caribbeancricketpodcast.com. We try to, I don't update that as often as I should, but it's up to date at the moment. So yeah, let's go to that website to find out anything that you want to find out about what we do. Our spin-off show, West Indies on 99.94 DM, etc., etc. So that's at the website. And if you'd like to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, you can become a patron, www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket, for as little as $2, whatever your currency is, pounds, dollars, rupees, etc. Or if you really want to, if you're live right now, you can send a super chat. That means I have to put your message up on the screen. And it's a way of supporting us as well to keep the show on the road. This is a live call-in show. When we did the show after day 2, it was Demo who convinced me that I had to do a live show. And I made it a call-in show. This one is just call-in from the start. So you won't hear me waffling as much in terms of the big intro. I'm still going to do it because I have to set the context of the whole kind of test match. But then I'm just going to hand over to all of you lot. I beg you let me go to my bed, though, people. So at the time of recording, it's 10:36 in the UK. I beg you let me go to my bed by 11:30 p.m. at the latest. So anyone who's coming in on the live in due course, please let me go to bed at some point. Big up Nick Ryan. Thank you for sending in the super chat. Nick didn't even answer a question. He just wanted to send some love. Thank you, Nick. That looks, what's that, Australia? That looks like it might be Australia. Big up Nick and big up anybody who's from, I just said you're Australian. It might not even be Australian, you know. So big up Nick and big up anybody from Australia, even if Nick himself may or may not be Australian. I've just pinned that on him. Oh, he is. Nick is from Australia. So yeah, let's get into it, people. So the test match today. So we drew. And I think we have to be, do you know what? I haven't seen any backlash yet. I haven't seen any backlash from the uncles or like the key kind of talking heads in West Indies cricket saying this is an embarrassment. West Indies have drawn against Zimbabwe. What does that mean about our cricket? Unless I'm looking at the wrong places, I'm yet to see anybody say this is a disgrace or anything like that. I think even the people who love to cuss us out, and by us I mean the West Indies team. Oh no, Demo says there is backlash. Okay. But I haven't seen it yet, Demo. And I guess what I'm getting at is that surely even the most bitter of West Indian fans would have to acknowledge that we essentially lost. When you count up all the overs that were lost to rain, we effectively lost an entire day's play. Now, hear me out, people. The West Indies Test team, although they have improved in recent years, I'm not convinced we're good enough to force victories in 4 days. Yes, some of you will go, oh, but we're only playing Zimbabwe. That doesn't mean anything to me. Remember, in terms of rankings, they're not significantly below us. Yes, they haven't played Test cricket in a while, but it's not like they've not been playing any cricket, right? So if you take the fact that we effectively lost a whole day's play, since when have West Indies been in a position where they can force victories? We don't get me wrong, we can win matches, but to win this match, we had to force a victory on a pitch which, let's be honest, it was a dead pitch. Some might say, oh, that's a good test match wicket because I don't think it was a good test match wicket because it wasn't even one of those wickets where you can say it was offering something for everyone. It wasn't. Really and truly, it wasn't. It offered a bit for spin, but I'm just thinking, I think that test match, and when you look at the wickets that fell, I would argue that the large majority of wickets, whether on our side or on the Zim side, it was batting errors more than excellent bowling. Don't get me wrong, Multi bowled well today, took his 4 for 50 odd, but it wasn't really the pitch wasn't that helpful. So I hear what people are saying about trying to force a victory, but when it was trying to force a victory on a dead track, if you were prepared to just dead bat the ball, there was nothing in that track. Like, it wasn't one of those tracks where it's like, there's a ball that's going to get me today. If you were prepared to be negative and bat slowly, there was nothing in that track to get you out. So don't get me wrong. I'm fairly certain, as Demo says, I'm fairly certain there'll be some people cussing, but I just don't think the conditions were helpful enough to allow a team of our standing to force victory in 4 days. That's my personal view. Were there bits and pieces of the performance where you can be a bit critical? Yeah. I think first innings we had Zim at, what did we have them at when they were 6 down? Was it like 170? There was a short point where Zim were like 160 or 170 for 6. And there was a short point where it looked like maybe we'll be able to enforce the follow-on. Not that I thought we could have bowled Zim out again quickly, but there was that short period of time on day 3, I think it was, or maybe day 3, day 4, where we had them in serious problems. And then Gary Balance and I think it was Mavuta put together a really good partnership to basically take them up to, that was the basis of the partnership, to take them up to 390 odd for 9. And from there, the game was pretty much dead for me personally. I was just watching because that's what you do. You watch the West Indies, win, lose or draw, you're just watching. But from the point when Zim made 390 and declared, I was like, yeah, this game's done. Then it was just about what individual performances you see from that point moving on, So what happened after that? We batted again. Dad's got a 50. Raymond Reefer got a 50, which are, in fact, let's focus on that for a bit. I think who knows who's going to be in this chat and what points they'll make. But I think, and I will always say this, I think Jermaine Blackwood gets unwarranted criticism, and criticism. No, let's leave it at that. I think Jermaine Blackwood gets unwarranted criticism. The way people talk about Dads, you'd think that he doesn't contribute anything to the side. So much so that when he got his 50 today, which is his 17th Test match 50, I went to pull the stats because I was like, the way people were talking, they were like, "Oh, Dad's position is under serious threat." And like, don't get me wrong, he's had a bit of a lean stretch, but then I pulled his stats and I was like, wait a minute. This guy's not even been doing badly. So check this, right? Dad's was rubbish against Australia. Cool. I'll accept that. He averaged, He averaged 16 in Australia. At home against Bangladesh, he averaged 65. At home against England, he averaged 32. Away against Sri Lanka, he averaged 27. Home against Pakistan, he averaged 34, right? So you take Dad's last 6 series, he's averaged 34, 27, 32, 65, 15, and now he's just notched to 50 in this series, so he's currently averaging 31. I don't know what. Like, am I? You lot are gonna say, you can see the Talawar's jersey behind me. You lot are gonna say, "Oh, that is because I'm Jamaican, so I'm biased." But I don't get the Blackwood slander. I don't think I've ever fully understood what the slander against Jermaine is. Is it because you see the talent he's got and you just think he should be better than he is? Because it can't be that you don't think he contributes. It can't be that, because every other series, Jermaine's going to make a meaningful contribution to the side. And maybe it's because some people are judging Jermaine Blackwood on his first stint with the West Indies side rather than looking how he's been since he's come back into the side. I don't know. I mean, when I put the link in the live, in the chat in a minute, anyone who wants to come through and chat about dads, come through and let's talk on that. But I just think that sometimes the slander goes a bit too far with Jermaine. And either way, he's notched his 17th Test 50. He's in the side for quite some time yet. So anybody who wants him out, Dad's ain't, and he's the vice captain. Dad's ain't going anywhere. Yeah, it's big up Simon Preston, people. If you're not following Sports City, please make sure you go follow Sports City. Simon Preston out of Jamaica. And if you're a football fan, and if you're in particular a Reggae Boys fan, make sure you go follow Reggae Boys Commentary, the #1 place on YouTube to find out what you need to find out about Reggae Boys. And when I say finding it out, I mean authenticity, clear facts. Simon ain't busting any news on the Reggae Boys unless it's absolute truth. So make sure you go follow Reggae Boys Commentary. I know all of you have got the new Adidas tops that Adidas and Jamaica have just dropped. So if you care about the Reggae Boys, go follow Simon Preston, Reggae Boys Commentary, people, and Sports City as well. But yeah, so Simon says that I believe there's an expectation on the island that he should probably be averaging 40 plus. Yeah, and I think going off the back of Simon's point there, I think people look at Jermaine's talent and just assume he should be better than he is, but maybe invert that to mean that he's not doing very well, when actually he's probably par for the course for the average West Indian batter, to be fair. So anyway, Dad's got his 50. Raymond Reefer got his 50, people. So when I put the link in the live, I'm sure some of you want to talk on Reefer. I think it's controversial. I still think it's controversial that Reefer played at number 3 in this series. I am now concerned because Reefer got 58, I think it was, of 100 and maybe 10 balls. If I'm saying because of Reefer's 50, surely he has to play the second test versus Zim. But if Reefer plays the second test and gets another 50 plus score, how does Nkrumah, and I want anyone who comes to chat later, answer this question for me. How does Nkrumah Bonner now get back in the side? And how have we put ourselves in a situation where Nkrumah Bonner, who averages 38 after 15 test matches, is suddenly on the bench? It wouldn't make sense to now bring Bonner back in for the second test. So, and I think Demo made this point when he came on the live on day 2. So what happens for South Africa now? What's the plan with Bonner? Andre Coley we're recording an episode, myself and Santoki. We're recording episode 80 of the podcast tomorrow morning, UK time, with Andre Coley. And for those of you like, who's that? You should know, the interim head coach. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to ask Andre about the Bonner situation. But Andre is a Jamaican. He's a former Jamaica Scorpions coach. He knows Bonner well. So there must be some reasoning for why Reefer's got the play and Bonner's on the bench. I'm hoping, I think, that maybe the point was always to give them one test match each. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bonner plays the second test match. And I'm wondering if that was just the plan. You know what, Reefer, you deserve a goal. Take the first test match. Bonner, you take... I don't know. That's what I'm kind of assuming and hoping. I haven't heard anything about an injury. Anyways, what else do we have to talk about from this test match? Multi 4 wickets on... Not 4 wickets. How many did he get in the first innings? Was it 2 or 1? Either way, at least 5 wickets on debut. I think, as I've kind of alluded to already, I think Multi deserves a run. As the premier spinner in the region. Whether people think it should be Rakeem Cornwall or not, or anybody else for that matter, now we've put Multi in. the right thing to do is to give him a long run. I thought today he bowled with, I think he bowled 24 overs on the spin. Did he even get a rest? I thought he bowled with good control. I thought he asked a lot of questions of the batters. I thought he was accurate with where he was dropping the ball. I like the fact that he wasn't just darting it in. Sometimes I'm critical of our spinners in the region because I'm like, are you doing anything other than just darting it in? I felt like Moti was trying to work the batters over and set an over up. And like I say, it was on a track that wasn't that conducive to wicket taking deliveries or helping the bowlers. So I think that's it's not debut because he played against Bangladesh last year, but it feels like his proper debut. To me, this felt like his proper debut because last year the selectors do what they do with West Indian spinners. They give them a one match here, then they don't play the next match, then they might be dropped. So this series for me feels like it's actually his debut for the West Indies team because you know he's going to get both test matches, but obviously officially it's not his debut. Chase got 2 wickets. What, 2 for 9, 2 for 10, 2 for 12? I don't know what he did, but he got 2 wickets as well. This is why I thought Chase would play in the side because I think he allows you the versatility of being able to play a second, and I use this term loosely, spinner. So that's why I feel Chase always gets a bly because of he allows the team to be balanced, irrespective of if he deserves to actually be in the side. Obviously, regional cricket's going on right now. There's the looming figure of Rakeem Cornwall. I think that if Rakeem Cornwall makes big runs in the domestic season, Chase would be the person under threat from Rakeem Cornwall, but not because of Rakeem's bowling, because of Rakeem's batting. I think the onus is on Rakeem Cornwall to make enough runs that puts Chase under pressure. That's just my stance on it. So anyways, we got the 6 wickets today, 4 for Multi, 2 for Chase. We couldn't quite push for the victory. The fast bowlers got rested quite a bit. It's worth pointing out to people that the second test is at the same venue. So the next question that I want you all to think about when you come on the live as well is who do you change the side? And if you change the side, who's holding the bench for you? I think Shannon Gabriel should come into the side for the second test. The reason why I say that is you saw why Alzari Joseph is so useful, and I warned about this. This is what I said in the video that I did. Was that live as well? In the video that I did, looking at the team that I would pick for the first test. My whole point about Gabriel, and I think I've been proved right in this first test, is he can bowl over 90. Alzari Joseph can bowl over 90. So when a pitch is dead, like I worried that Queen Sports was going to be, or the Queen Sports Club was going to be, I was like, if we know it's going to be a dead track and good for batting, you've got to play both your 90-plus bowlers because 90-plus bowlers can extract some lift and bounce out of any track when they really crank their back, and they can play that enforcer role. No, I've got nothing against Roach. I thought Roach bowled all right given the conditions, but we had nobody to follow up on Alzari Joseph's spells. If you catch my drift, I also think we didn't bowl Mayers enough in the second innings today as well, given his ability to find prodigious swing at times. Not that I'm saying the conditions were useful for him, but I just thought we could have bowled Mayers a bit more as well. So I would expect Shannon Gabriel to come in for the second test. I suspect that if they're going to do that Roach is probably the person most likely to be dropped. Who else might get a play? Because the series is now on the line, I kind of feel like they'll be conservative. So Gabriel to come in for Roach. I'd like to see Bonner come in, but who's Bonner coming in for? I don't know. I don't know. Depending on what their plans are, they may even rest Holder because remember, with respect to Zimbabwe, the more important series is the South Africa one. So if they've got one eye on the South Africa series, then there is an argument to say that they may quote unquote rest a few players just because they've got an eye on the kind of workload for the South Africa series. Remember that We have a warm-up game before the South Africa series and then the 2 test matches. In fact, that's an all-format series. And because it's an all-format series versus South Africa, that means Holder's going to be involved in all of that. Alzahari Jones is going to be involved in all of that. Carl Mayers is going to be involved in all of that. So it's worth people remembering that Mayers, Joseph, and Holder get 0 rest. So there may well be changes with an eye on the fact that actually some of our players can't just play. Holder, Mayers, and Joseph can't just play back to back from Zimbabwe all the way through into South Africa with no rest. So don't be surprised if there's more changes than we realize just for workload purposes. So it could be more than just Gabriel. It could be Holder coming out, and then they might move Reefer down the batting order and then bring in a Bonner and so on and so forth. I'll do another video looking at the likely lineup for the second test match, but I think there could be quite a lot. There could be more than one, change for the second test match. So that's my intro, people. Quite a lengthy intro, 20-minute intro, kind of just briefly running over the test match. By the end of the video or the live, I want to end by doing some player ratings. But let's talk about the test match. Let's get some people in on the live and see what people have to say. Let me put the link's going in the chat. Anybody who wants to come on, press that link. 1 second. Let me just Anybody who wants to come on, press that link. Somebody tell me in the chat how many likes are there. I can see 66 people in the live, but how many likes are there, people? I bet there's not 66 likes. There's probably I reckon 13. How many likes have we got? Someone tell me how many likes. Pin the link. Oh, yeah, true. Good point, Demo. And when did someone has to tell me what the likes are, though? 21. You lot do it. 23. Ah, boy, you lot doing me dirty. Anyways, let me pin this link. Right, link's gone in. Let me pin it. How do I pin it from here? I have to go into YouTube. Oh, my God. 1 second, people. Let me... I can't pin it from StreamYard. But anyways, the link is in the chat, I should say. I have to go into YouTube to try and pin this link, I think. Yeah. So if you want to come on, people, now's the time. I can see Hakeem in the background. 38 links. Stenard, I hope that means 38 likes, because I know I ain't put 38 links, you know. 1 second, people. I'm going to mute myself whilst I just go on. Okay, perfect. I just pinned the link. Someone just let me know in the chat if the link is now pinned. I think I've done it properly. So if you want to come in on the show, just press the link at the top and let's do this. Right, Hakeem. Hakeem's the first person. Let's get talking, people. Let's see what people have got to say. Hakeem, you're coming through right about now. Yes, Hakeem. What are you saying?
Yes, Mash. What are you saying? You can hear me?
I'm good. Where are you from, Hakeem? I'm trying to locate the accent.
Yeah, I'm from Jamaica, but I live in Florida.
All right.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Hakeem. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I was just gonna say just a quick review of the match itself. I saw a few videos, a few highlights, mainly just looking at the scores and the updates online and stuff. So it seemed like the match, because of the delay for the first 2 days, kind of ended in a draw. I thought we would bowl better, but people have to kind of understand that Gary Balance isn't good enough to make the England team, but he's probably the best batter of the 2 teams.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So his innings definitely played a big part in them securing a draw. So, but overall, I thought you'd say the frontline batters in both innings for the West Indies did all right. Obviously, the big partnerships, so the openers played exceptionally well, and then second innings with Reefer and Jermaine getting half centuries, that would bode well. I wanted to touch on the Jermaine point that you started earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. I think he's somebody who we, as a region, criticize him heavily. And don't get me wrong, watching him is frustrating at times, you know. But I think Jermaine's one of those players where if West Indies were say England or a high ranking team or a team with a strong core or strong backbone, I think a player like him would do so much better because there wouldn't be as much pressure on him to anchor innings and carry the innings. But because we don't have that level of talent or level of experience, you'd say one of the most talented, and at this point now one of the most experienced. So the pressure is on him. But if he were batting at say number 6 for Australia or England or India with free reins to bring us from 250 to 400, guaranteed his average and his overall performance would be better. Because I think his skill set is really fighting it out and match winning. But when you're asking him now to carry the team, he's to me he's much better when the platform is already set. So
I just want to touch on that because I've often made this point about if you could argue across the various formats for West Indies that's the biggest issue we face. We do have some talented players, but when you put them together as a team, I'm not saying they don't fit or mesh well together as a team.
Yeah.
But what we don't have and probably haven't had since, I'm going to say since the time when Gale, Shiv, Sarwan, and let's even throw in Darren Bravo, when they were all playing at the same time, right?
Yeah, probably Marlon as well. Yeah.
Yeah, even Marlon Samuels.
Mhm.
When they were all playing at the same time, you knew that someone can put their hand up and marshal an innings and so on and so forth. Effectively, what we struggle with in our side at the moment is we have obviously Tasia's just come into the side, but we'll leave him out. We have Craig at the top, who can lay a foundation, but what we don't have is a Craig in the middle. If you see what I mean. So most of our players that come in after Craig is out, they're like, this sounds harsh. I don't know if you agree, Hakeem, but to me, they're all like 1 in 3 or 4 players. They're going to come off 1 in every 3 or 4 innings.
That's correct.
But generally speaking, it's never going to be at the same time. If you catch my drift.
And we don't have a lot of variety. He would be one I'd say a little bit different from, you'd say I know Reefa played this game, but the first 3, the top order has been Bonner, Brathwaite, and Chanderpaul for the past few games, and then before that obviously Campbell as well. So, and his game is naturally a bit more attacking, a bit more run scoring. So now with the fact that he's the vice captain and probably behind Brathwaite is the most experienced batter in the team, there's more responsibility, hence more pressure. And I think one of the issues we have to lead to the point you were making is I think we have an issue with I like both players, but we have an issue with Mayers and Holder in the sense that both can bat, and we've seen Jason Holder can be exceptional with the bat, but neither are frontline batters. So we have 2 positions going to basically 2 all-rounders, where in other test teams, a number 5 is a specialist batsman. Right? Yeah. So, but the issue is Mayers has done so well the past 2 years, bowling, and has chipped in with runs. So he has to play. And obviously, Jason Holder's career and, experience in general means he has to play as well. But ideally, it should only be one of them playing in plus an additional batter. But we don't have a batter that averages 30 like Holder. So that's the issue now we have, where we short a batter, but who is going to be that batter? And to me, Roston Chase, I thank him for his services, He's a lesser version of Moeen Ali, a way lesser version. And I think, as I said, thank you for your service. I'm not going to I'm not going to be that harsh on him because I think there was a time where he was very important. But no, for him to still be in the side, basically now we have 3 bowling all-rounders. Because at this point, he's getting picked as a bowler, right?
Yeah, well, he was,
In
but now
Australia, he got picked as a bowler.
But now
Much.
he's back in the top 6. So that means he's getting picked as a batter. So I'm glad you've pivoted to Roston, because the point you're making about Mayers and Holder, surely it's the same point for Roston then.
Yep.
So effectively, and to be honest, if it's regional cricket, it's the same point for Raymond Reefer. I don't know how many sides would have Reefer, Roston, Mayers and Holder, who technically are all... this is going to sound harsh.
All bowling all-rounders.
Put it this way, none of them can claim to be out and out batters.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. So you've put the cat amongst the pigeons, because really and truly, Hakeem, you're starting to ask the question, which I've had more and more people start to ask me this question. And that is, can Jason still command a place in the side? Now, up until now, I've always said that's a silly question to ask. Jason Holder's body of work means that we can never drop a Jason Holder, right? Because of just what he's done in his career. But there is a legitimate argument to say that his form has fallen off to the point now where we're not actually certain. And this sounds ridiculous, because I don't want anyone to take this as I'm saying drop Jason Holder. That's not my point. But his form has dropped off to the point where I can't say for certain what he's bringing to the side.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And and you're right in that aspect. It's just more opening the conversation in the sense of saying, you know, his performances over the past year, especially with the bat, and as a bowler, he's always been very economical, but he hasn't been like a frontline wicket taker. You know what I mean? Like, he's a very good bowler. But the issue is, going to South Africa, I think a bowler like Holder is needed because of the pitches there. So I don't think he's going to get dropped. And I tend to lean on the side that I wouldn't want to see him get dropped, because if we're picking let's say our most talented 11 players across any format of the game, Jason Holder is arguably the most talented of all our players. But for the balance of the team, especially in Test cricket, where you have to get it right with batters, bowlers, at this moment, it's kind of proven to be a bit of an issue, because Mayers has bowled better than Holder for the past 2 years. Without a doubt, has bowled better than him, and has probably batted just about the same or slightly better. But we know what Holder can do. So, in my opinion, he gets the benefit of the doubt just at this point, you know?
Yeah. Listen, Hakeem, I'm going to let some others on, but I just want to discuss this last point. Now, I'm saying now, do you see like you didn't see it? But now people might see, so let's talk about people who are listening to this. Now people might see why this tour in particular was a missed opportunity to not call up a Brandon King or someone like that. Because you're saying, where's the batter? Well, I'm looking at someone like Brandon King and saying, well, if you're not going to try him against Zimbabwe, when are you going to?
Definitely.
When are you going to try him? So there are people out there who we could take a gamble on, but the age-old problem is we are still stuck in this mindset that if a man doesn't play enough domestic red ball cricket, we can't call him into the Test side. But there are players out there playing white ball cricket who arguably we could have said come through for this tour.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And I listened to that episode. I don't know if it was on here or on the 99.94 that you and Santoki were talking about it, and I was saying spot on, because even somebody like Athenes, King more obviously because he's been in the international setup a lot longer, and I think that I don't want to sound harsh, but the reality of the West Indies situation right now is the talent pool isn't deep enough for us to say, oh, this player is a Test player specifically, this player is a one-day player, this player is a T20 player specifically. as far as batting is
Yeah.
concerned. We don't have that deep of a talent pool like the other countries. So when you do find a good batter, hence the conversations have always been, oh, Pooran should play Test cricket, or Hetmeyer should play Test cricket. Brandon King obviously should play Test cricket. There's a reason we keep having these conversations, because the talent pool isn't that great across all formats. So even somebody, I mean, it's not going to happen now, but I'm just saying, even somebody like Evan Lewis, during the period where he was, extremely destructive one day and Test cricket, one day and T20 cricket, probably should have gotten a 1 or 2 Test match just to say, you know what, talent wise, and because the pool isn't that deep, we may need to give them a try. So I'm 100% with you in the fact that we can't wait to say, oh, we need this guy to play X amount of 4-day cricket, when the same guy is gone off to another T20 league or gone away with the West Indies to play T20 or 1-day cricket. If we keep waiting on that, we're going to end up in a situation where Brandon King is 28, 29, and at some point he's going to have to make a decision on his career to say, do I want to start playing Test cricket now, or can I just focus on probably making it to the IPL and I get 1 or 2 seasons, 3 seasons,
All right. Yes.
and eat a food, help my family, live a good life.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is start funneling them early. I know we don't like losing, and with the history of the West Indies and the backlash and everything, it's going to be like, oh, West Indies is not good anymore or whatever. But we just have to give the younger ones a try, because now, looking at it, Chanderpaul is 26.
Yeah.
Brathwaite, I think at this point, what, 31, 32?
30.
30, yeah. Same thing with Jermaine, same age, around the same age. All of these guys within the next 3 years, we're going to need another revamp. So you may as well now go to the 23-year-olds or somebody out there to say, cool, let's just start the process. But yeah, not to take up too much time. Respect, as usual. Love the content, love the show. Next time, bless up.
Yes. Listen, Hakeem, thank you for coming through, man. First time you've ever been on. Good conversation, man. Love that. Come through for the next live, yeah?
Yeah, man.
All right, then. No problem. All right. People, thank you to Hakeem for that. Some good points raised there. Only because I'm bringing in Mr. Lover did I not ask Hakeem the question, but for anybody else who comes on, try to let me know who you'd pick for the next game and who you're dropping and so on and so forth. But yeah, just to finish up on the point there that Hakeem was making. So Brathwaite's 30, Tage is 26, Reefer I think is 29 or 30. Somebody can double check that for me. Who is batting number 4? Dads is 31. Chase is 30. Mayers is 30. Holder's 31. So listen, this isn't a joke thing, people. They're all pretty much 30. And don't get me wrong, that means they can all still play for the next 4 to 5 years, but it would be a age inside if they're all still playing in the next 4 to 5 years. So if you have a team in Test cricket where everyone is pretty much 30, Reefer's 31 says pink spaghetti, thank you. If you have a team that's all, and Bonner, who's riding the bench at the moment, is 33, 34. Devon Thomas is 32, 33, right? So if you have a team which is effectively an age inside, so what are we going to bring through the youths? I don't understand. Like, we got to be future planning. We got to be forward planning, and that's why I will always say that this Zim tour was a missed opportunity. Look at Zim, people. In this first Test match, Zim have called up about 5 men to make their Test debut. We couldn't call up 1 man. We haven't carried 1 man, not one, to make his Test debut. Do you know how ridiculous? Do you know how ridiculous that is? Zim have got 5 and we've got none, and it doesn't even count for the Test match championship. This is why I can't take West Indian selectors. It's like there's no forward thinking whatsoever. But anyways, if you've been watching the Caribbean Cricket Podcast for a while, you know that I'm running to be West Indies selector when the vacancy comes up. So everything will change soon. Mr. Lover, come through. Yes, Mr. Lover, what are you saying?
Good night. I'm here.
Good
I
night.
just want
Good
to
night.
say I'm a bit disappointed with the outcome today. I think we could have won it, but there were 3 decisions that I did not like that Brathwaite made. Number 1, the game came on to a 1-day match, and the best ODI bowler only bowled 5 overs. That is madness. Number 2, the field placements when that same bowler was bowling. You know, he's moving the ball. You can see it with the O ball, he gets in the reverse. Why not have Jason Holder, the best fielder in the team, arguably, at slips? That ball that went through Myers and the silver for 4 could have easily been taken by Holder. Number 3, I think we should have been more proactive with the batting. Right? Since we know it's the last day and we're batting for a win result, you know, Azar been firing good clicks with the bat for the last year or so. Give him a little time up the order before the South Africa series to see what else he can do.
Is that to score the runs quicker, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, let me address those. I'm going to go with your last point first. Do you think the team trusted themselves, given how poorly we played in the first innings when we were trying to up the run rate and everyone just came in, swiped right, left, centre, and everyone got out? Do you think the team trusted themselves to up the ante significantly so that they could declare earlier? And before you answer that, I was listening to Craig Brathwaite's press conference earlier on, and he said that prior to the day's play, they had already agreed how many overs they were going to bat. And he said, so I think if I remember rightly, they declared at 60 overs. So that must be that was a prearranged number, right? We are declaring at this over. So where I do agree with you, whether it should have been Alzari or not, there was an opportunity after Tage and Craig got out. They went with the actual batting order. So there was an opportunity to maybe send the Mayers in to try and play a counter-attacking innings, etc. But I just wonder if they wanted to be more conventional because of how badly they did it the first time round. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I think we were a bit, even if I can use this word on YouTube, but let's say spineless.
Okay.
In terms of that decision.
I thought you were going to cuss proper. Spineless is fine.
If you're going to go for a result, why not go out aggressively? Like, Reefer, honestly, he did good with that 58, but I still think Myers, Blackwood, or Joseph, who could all but counter-attackingly, should have went in at number 3 ahead of Reefer.
But do you think that they wanted to give Reefer a proper bat? I just think they might have wanted him to. Do you know what I mean? Like for his own benefit to just play a proper Test match innings. I know the situation didn't require that per se, but I just wonder if that was part of their thinking. Let's give the guy a proper go.
Honestly, looking at it and how they did, I think they're pushing for him to be number 3 for South Africa series as well. So I don't think it would have been any other way based on that.
So, and actually, let me go to your first point. So your first point was about Joseph only bowling 5 overs. And if I remember rightly, when I was watching part of it today, I think Ganga was saying something like the fast bowlers hadn't bowled since, I can't remember the exact sentence he said, but it was something like the fast bowlers, basically Brathwaite had pulled them all out of the attack after about, I don't know, let's just say 20 overs or something. I can't remember the exact figure that Ganga gave. Do you think that was with a view to resting them? Because the turnaround, I think the second test starts on Saturday, is it? Do you think that was with a view to just making sure bodies got a rest and that we'd already given up on trying to win?
Honestly, I think that could have been the situation. But I think if we wanted to win, we should have played it like an actual ODI game since it's just like 50 overs left in the day. If anything, bowl Alzari his full quarter of 10 overs and then rotate all the other seamers.
You know the problem with that, though. Remember, we're terrible at ODI cricket. So if we treated it like that, we would have lost the match.
Well, it can't really say it like that, but yeah. You got
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Remember, remember, we rarely win in that format of cricket. That's all I'm. That's all I'm saying. But listen, Miss Lover, because I want to bring in the next person. Look at this. Oh my gosh, I can see about 10 men trying to get ready to come in here. You know, like I don't have bed to go to. But Mr. Lover, who you dropping and who you keeping in, for the next test?
Okay, let me just go out on the limb. I'm making 3 changes in my 11. For one reason, Reefer would stay, but I'm dropping him down to 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
I would bring in Thomas at 3, Bonner 4. So my batting would look like this: Tage, Craig, Thomas, Bonner, Myers. No, I think I'll move Myers down to 6. Put the silver at 5.
Hold on. What's going on?
No. You know,
Yeah, go on,
Jermaine
keep going,
Blackwood's spot
keep
is
going.
short. You know, Jermaine
Do
Blackwood's
you know
spot
what? No,
is short.
start with
Best
who
in
you're
Blackwood.
dropping. It's easier to start with the people you're not playing.
Holder, Roach, and honestly, I'm thinking either Blackwood or Chase I would not play.
Right. Okay. So that means Roach for Gabriel. I presume. Are you playing Gabriel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Roach for Gabriel, Blackwood
For Thomas.
Nah, because you Blackwood for Thomas. What? And then Bonner for Chase.
Bonner for Chase.
Okay. Boy, I don't think many people are going to agree with that, you know. but I've written it. I've written it down all the same because you started us off. So when the next people come through, we can see if anybody agrees with you.
Right, Marsh. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right then. Yeah, take care. You know. Right. So I think Demo said I should add more than one person at a time. And I actually forgot that you could even do that. So, Demo, that's a good idea. But the next live, I think I'll do that on the next live because I'd actually forgotten that was an option. And I'm wary that there's probably people in the background who are like, no, I don't want to chat with the next man. I want my time. So the next live is when I'll do that one, Demo, because I didn't even realize that was a thing. Anyway, let me move on. Rahul, I'm bringing you on. Yes, Rahul, you there?
Yeah, man, you can hear me?
Yes, all good, Rahul.
Alright, man. First of all, top job on the podcast and stuff, man. I don't know how I didn't find y'all earlier, but you do know. A good job.
So wait, Rahul, where you at? Trinidad or something?
Guyana. I'm going.
Oh, Guyana. Boy, you might want to cuss me out now for me saying that.
So I can push the Tage 9 propaganda.
Okay, go on.
But no, you got me, bet. Me gonna push it now. Kind of start and stop. Watch, look, I just want to jump on the reefer point, actually. I want to talk about the test as a whole just really quickly, but I want to jump on the reefer point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand giving him a run in the test as a 3, right? I don't, because to me that implies that we're playing him in South Africa. But why are we playing him in South Africa? If we have Bonner that can come back at 3, averaging, as you said, 38 in 15 matches, that don't make sense to me. So then, if we're not playing him at 3 and Bonner's coming back, then who we drop in? We drop in Blackwood for reefer. We drop in Myers for reefer. We drop in Distilver for reefer. It ain't making sense to me. We drop in Holder for reefer. It ain't making sense. And I can't imagine we so desperate for another bowling option. Right? When we got Alzari, Warner Roach or Gabriel gonna play in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
We got Holder as a 3rd option. We got Myers as a 4th option. We ain't gonna get another bowling option so much that we gotta drop one. We Patters for reefer. That don't make sense.
Listen,
right?
Rahul, everything you're saying, I 100%. On the last live show after day 2, I said exactly what you're saying, and I said that I can't find any cricketing reason why he's playing. The only reason I could possibly find is that Bonner's injured. But if Bonner was injured, Cricket West Indies would have released a statement saying
Exactly.
Nkrumah Bonner currently is injured and so on and so forth. I've asked around. Nobody's told me that Bonner's injured, right? So, but funnily enough, when Mr. Lover was just on, he said something which made me. He said something which made me think something else. This is my new theory, right?
Yeah.
Have they given Reefer number 3 for Zimbabwe? Because probably they want to just give him a try. I wonder, will Bonner come back into the side for South Africa and they'll drop Chase? Now, hear me out, right?
Ooh.
The reason why I wonder if this is what they might do is because they may go into that South Africa series and say, we don't need a second. I don't even want to call Chase frontline spinner, but we don't need whatever it is that they think Chase can do.
Yeah.
We want an actual successful batter in there, which would be Bonner, right? And would that be their attempt to then move Bonner down the order? Because the one thing I do know is that Bonner's never really wanted to bat 3. He's batted 3 because there's no one else to bat 3, right?
Yeah.
Even for Jamaica, Jermaine Blackwood will bat 3 before Bonner bats 3. So the only way I can see this making sense is if Bonner comes back into the side for South Africa at Chase's expense. I'm not saying that's what I think will happen, but I'm trying to. This is my attempt to answer the question for you. It's the only other logic I could possibly find. And then if you're thinking, so why is Chase in the side now? But that's only because they think that these pitches in Zimbabwe needs a second spinner, but they may not need it in South Africa. Do you catch my drift?
I catch what you're saying. But
I don't know.
Even so, if, it probably makes sense. It makes more sense than what I'm about to suggest, which is drop Chase for Cornwall, which is what you've been saying anyway. Right? And we could have a side like that because we could have 4 pacers, we could have Moti, we could have Cornwall. If you do Tage, you do Brathwaite, you do Bonner and Blackwood. At 5 you have Mayers. At 6 you have De Silva. 7 Holder, right? 8 and 9 you probably got Alzari. Actually, no, you could probably
no Cornwall. If it was in the side, then it'd be Cornwall and Alzari.
8 Cornwall, 9 Alzari, 10 Roach or Gabriel or whoever you're playing there, and 11 Moti. And you got 2 spinners, you got 4 pacers. You're batting essentially to 8. So you have a deep batting lineup. You don't got to worry about whoever the hell Chase. Whoever Chase doing, right? You don't got to question that. You have a genuine spinner in Cornwall and Moti, right? And Chase and Cornwall's a higher quality spinner than Chase. Right? And he bats, right? You're batting to 8, you got 2 spinners, you got 4 pacers. I don't see what's and we ain't got get Reefer, right? You got the Silver in the top 6, right? And there's an argument. I saw someone talking about potentially moving the Silver into 5 if we had like a specialist keeper, an actual specialist keeper, right? But the problem with that is then who do you drop to accommodate a specialist keeper? Do you drop Mayers or do you drop Polar? Because you drop one and 2, you're dropping, right? But I don't know. But I don't see the benefit of Reefer or Chase in the side, honestly, for South Africa. I don't see it.
Right, exactly. And what you've said there, fundamentally, the reality is, and I think this is also what Mr. Lover's trying to get at. The reality is our side at the moment, although the test side has improved, we're not actually a properly balanced side. And certainly, I think you're right to say if you already have Mayers and Holder in your side, it gives you the flexibility lower down the order to play it however many fast bowlers or spinners that you want. Which I guess this goes back to my point. The only way back into this test setup for Rakeem Cornwall is he has to make runs. He has to. This domestic season, he's just got to score 50s in every match, and then it would force selectors to have to explain what are they like, because they've never truly explained why they're ignoring him. If he made runs, it would put them into even more of a, right, exactly. But they've never properly explained that, right? They've never
we're stupid. We're not stupid.
So I just think that if you put up runs, it's very hard for them to justify it. Particularly if Chase doesn't.
Yeah. Well, that's half of the equation is covered. Chasing putting up runs. Right? So I don't know. But honestly, I was critical of it at first because with Cornwall. I was critical of the appearance of someone like this in the team, and I was wrong. And 100% I was wrong. Because at the end, their performance is what matters, right?
Mm.
If you come into the team and you're fat but you're scoring 100 every match, performance trumps everything else,
Yes.
right? Bar maybe attitude and how your teammates are playing around you and things like that, right? Your performance and your synergy with the team matters more than if you're overweight. This
Yes.
shouldn't matter, right? As long as your weight is not dragging this team back, and he isn't. So I don't understand. But yeah, that's it, though. I know you asked a couple other questions, but I keep forgetting.
Listen, last one before you go. What changes are you making for the second test, if any?
Actually, probably Bonner in for Reefer, but also given that he has to play the tests in South Africa, but also like it would be well, suppose they got a warm up match, so you ain't worry about warm up. So you could probably keep Reefer in. I guess the one change I would make that would be probably a bit controversial, I'd probably bring in Gabriel for Joseph. Not because Joseph is ineffective or anything like that, but as you said, all format player. Right? He goes to South Africa, he plays test, he plays ODI, he plays T20. If you can give him a rest now, and as you said, Gabriel bowls 90 plus, right? You're basically getting, yeah, like for like in terms of speed and pace and aggression.
Point. Yeah. I hadn't thought
Right?
about that. That's a good point. Yeah.
Right?
So that would
Akim
mean that
Roach is going to play a test.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
No, I think
Roach is
I
going
see your point. Yeah.
Yeah. Roach is going to play a test, but he ain't gonna play ODI in T20. So, so I probably bring Gabriel for Joseph, and that's my one change. I don't see the need for anything else. I don't see anything else in there. But yeah, I thought just to close quickly, I thought it was a good performance. The only thing I found a bit stupid was Myers and Holder bowling
The off
spin.
spin. The
Yeah,
leg
that was
spin
just
off spin. Yeah.
nonsense.
I had do you know what was mad about that as well? Is that when I was watching Mayers bowl whatever he was bowling, Blackwood was standing at slip, and I was thinking, well, Blackwood actually knows how. I'm not saying he's good, but he knows how to bowl off spin. What are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
so at that point, Brathwaite should have just gone to the opposition and said, you know what, this game's done now. So I'm not fully certain what that was about, but was the game was
God,
done
no.
at that point anyway.
Might as well throw the ball at the edge. Get a couple
Yes,
wickets
exactly.
on the double 100. Anyway, that was it. But yeah, that's about it. But I thought we played well, honestly. And as a closing point, if it wasn't for rain, that 400 would have been up on the board by lunch or a little after lunch on day 2. And it would have been
so.
a different complexion to the match. But yeah, anyway, that's it.
Completely agree. Listen, Rahul, thank you for coming through, man. Much appreciated.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, take care. Right, people, we've got I think 2 more people left. We've got 2 more people left on the live, and then I'm probably going to bring it to a close. We're just coming up to the hour mark. To bring up this comment from Jono. Thank you, Jono, for this comment. Thank you for covering West Indies cricket so beautifully. Yes, the people, man. Listen, the Caribbean Cricket Podcast is as much about the people who listen to it and their contributions, and we're just the facilitators. We're just hosting something. It's all about the people who come through. Thank you, Jono. Right, so Chung King, and then we're going to end with Faraz, unless anybody randomly comes through at the last minute. Yes, Chung King, are you there? You've been waiting so long, you probably don't even realize you're on now. Chung King has put himself on mute. Chung King, you there? Testing. All I'm seeing is a dark screen, But Chung King, I don't think you're there, It looks like Faraz is going to have to come through. Chung King had waited all this time to come on. And then when the time wasn't ready, stage fright. Chung King, one more time. What are you saying? The people want to hear from you. Oh, he says he's here. Oh, wait. Chung King just sent me a private message and then ducked out. Let's see if he comes back. Faraz, you're coming through. Looks like I scared Chung King off. Faraz, come through. What are you saying?
Yeah, morning, mate. What's up?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Yeah, not too bad. What about you?
All good. What time is it where you are?
Just like 10:30 in the morning right now.
Okay. I wish it was 10:30. It's 11:30 right now at night time. But what are you saying, Faraz?
Yeah, no, just, like You know, I was trying to find a strength for the Zimbabwe West Indies match, but couldn't find one. But by the looks of it, it looked like Bulawayo was like a flat track and it was a good pitch to bat on. And West Indies definitely made the most of it. And credit to Chanderpaul for his bringing up his maiden like double century. I think that was outstanding to watch. I feel like West Indies would have probably won the Test match if it wasn't for the rain, but it is what it is, man. You know, like I think they'll probably bounce back in the second Test if the weather's clear. But yeah, look, they're probably expected to beat Zimbabwe, especially at being their big side.
Yeah, you just hurt me with that comment, but it's true though. The reality is Zimbabwe had 5 Test match debutants, but I think I can't remember who was the first person up on the show. I'm trying to remember. I've already forgotten names, but the first person up made the point. I was Hakeem. He made the point that I don't think anybody else has really referenced, which is that at the end of the day, Gary Balance has played Test cricket for England before he switched to Zimbabwe, following his racism, which everyone seems to have conveniently forgotten. But before he switched to Zimbabwe, Gary Balance had already had, I'm gonna say, a successful Test career. And when I say
he had 3 Test centuries, I think, as well.
Right, exactly. Now, before anybody says to me, Mash, don't overrate Gary Balance, we'd kill for somebody like a Gary Balance in our side in terms of his ability. So I think when yes, I know there was a drop in between and all of that, but when he got his 100 and I can't remember what he made, 120 odd or something, there was this part of me which was like, well, yeah, that makes sense because it's not an easy deck to bat on, but if you've got a Test match technique of any ability, you're going to make runs on this track. And Gary
saved the game. He saved the game with his innings right there.
Yeah, and he looked a class above, and he's the one player in that side. He basically played the role you'd expect him to play, which is I'm better than this level in my own head, and I'm going to show people I'm a better than this level. So I think for me it's a combination of 2 things. The rain and Gary Balance proving that he's actually a Test match cricketer, or reminding us even that he's a Test match cricketer. So I kind of feel like that's the real. Say there wasn't Gary Balance in that side, I think we win this match basically.
Easy, 100%.
So yeah, I think his knock has to get a level of kind of praise as well, because I think he was the main difference between the 2 sides, you know?
Yeah, he's actually been an experienced hitter. I think as a Bangladesh fan myself, I think he was playing in the Test series against Bangladesh itself 6 years ago. So he's been at the Test scene for quite a while
now. Pink Spaghetti has just told us he scored 400s in 23 Tests. To put that in perspective, the only players in the West Indies side that have more than 400s is Craig, who's got 12, and Chase, who's got 5. Right? That puts it in perspective for everyone. So anybody who's like, no, don't overrate the guy. Well, he got more Test hundreds than pretty much the whole of our side. So that kind of puts it in perspective.
I was just going to ask the question for the South Africa tour. I know that's the main Test series for this season. Are you considering to like drop Ruston Chase maybe for someone like Nick Bonner, like who's probably a main part of the Test team?
I need to go and remind myself where the Test matches are being played in South Africa, and I also need to work out. I need to go back and look at South Africa's recent Test playing history, and see if they play 2 spinners at home. So obviously we know that Keshav Maharaj will play, right? He will definitely play. What I don't know is if South Africa play Maharaj and Simon Harmer at the same time together. Now, if they do, then Ruston Chase is going to play, because Ruston Chase balances out the side and it allows them to play multi and then pretend that Chase is the second spinner, right? If they think if we are playing on tracks in South Africa that favor pace, then I don't think you play Ruston. I think you have to put I mean this in the right way, but you have to put a proper batsman in. I don't think you put a bits and pieces player in, and that would mean that Bonner would have to play. The argument people would then have to work out is who do you drop out of Chase and Reefer? But I think Bonner would have to come back in, and you say to him, you are in this team to bat, because it's ridiculous that West Indies have a top 7 where 4 of the players could be called bowling all-rounders. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So
I think for any Test side that doesn't make sense, but especially for the West Indies when you've got like Yeah, it's crazy, and especially South Africa is a sort of place where it favours the pace bowlers more often with the bounce
Exactly.
and everything. So it will be weird to see how Roston Chase plays a part. For me, Roston Chase is more of a batting all-rounder, like a batting specialist. He can bat, no doubt about it. But I think even in the recently concluded Australian series, he barely put any pressure on the batsman.
I mean, to give him his due, he looked like he was back to form in Australia. And actually, let me defend Roston slightly, because we do have to remember that the first innings they were trying to score runs quickly. So I don't know if you can truly judge Roston based on that first innings. Second innings, I mean, that was kind of a wild shot. I think he chased one on like a 6-stump line or something like that.
Got 40 or something, I think. Yeah, but
yeah. So I think let's come back to the Chase argument after the second test match. I want to give Roston the benefit of the doubt for the second test, and then I'll be able to kind of come with more justification whether he should or should not play in South Africa.
Yeah, but for sure, I think Chanderpaul looks like a real. Is he young? Is he in his like 20s, early 20s, or is
Chanderpaul, 26.
Chanderpaul.
That's young. That's young in West Indies cricket.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
So if you've made your debut for West Indies at 26, you've done well. Listen, people are usually coming into the side at 28, 29, so he's doing well for himself.
So what are you expecting from the South Africa series? So what's the expectations? Like any particular goals from that series?
To not lose one of the test matches.
I think that would be an incredible result drawing there in South Africa. It's a hard place to win there.
So notice I never used the word win. My expectation is that we don't lose one of those test matches. Whether that means that rain has to help us, whether that means it's a thrilling draw, I don't care. As long as if we can come away from that test series having not lost one of those games, I think that's given our history in South Africa, that's probably a positive result.
Even in the Australia series, even in the Australia series, I think you push Australia to the last day itself. So West Indies, based on form, I would argue weirdly that this is probably their best format. I'm not saying they're the gods of Test cricket now, but if you compare it, T20, they didn't even make it to the Super 12s. One day they're not even directly qualified. Test matches, they've had some success recently. I think they beat England, whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and I think I know Bangladesh isn't really a big team, but still beating them away in those pitches, chasing through 80 odd and all that. So look, they've got some positives in Test cricket for sure. Even Chanderpaul that just come up, Carl May as well. There's some talent there in West Indies Test match.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And let's just see if they can bring it all together versus South Africa. I think that's what everyone's waiting. I think most people are pretty rightly or wrongly. I think they're seeing this Zimbabwe series as just like some sounds terrible, but almost like warm-up test matches for the actual main event. But ideally, we'd want to win one of them. Listen, Faraz, I'm going to bring on the final two people because people, I just said the final two. No one else can come through after this. So Faraz, let me just head to the last two because I'm going to wrap this up. But thank you for coming through, man.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
No worries, man. Take care. Right, final two people. You lot got me out here thinking like this is big radio show, big radio show. Like, anyways, let me just move on. Let me move on to Shane. I wonder if this is Shane who I think is. Is this Shane from Barbados? Am I making this up? Have I spoken to Shane before? No, Shane's shaking his head. So I've never spoken to Shane before, I think. But let's see. There's 104 of you still in the live. Don't know how many likes there are, but you see when this video stops, there best be some likes and some subscriptions and stuff like that. Anyways, Shane, come through. Yes, Shane.
Thanks for having me. I'm not even going to take up too much of your time because we're on the same time zone right now. So I'm not going to take up too much
from Barbados. Shane's right here in the UK.
North London, to be exact, to be honest. North London, to be exact.
So what we say, South London, North London link up, right?
Exactly.
Minutes to midnight, we're doing a London link up.
But the truth is, obviously, I watched all 5 days, but I didn't want to isolate this test match, because obviously a lot of people look at it as like a warm up for the next test series that we got against South Africa. But I think we have to start looking at, and when I say we, I do mean West Indies, have to start looking at our away bowling lineup, because I think we always criticize our batting, but we failed to take 10 wickets in the first innings. I know they declared, We failed to take 10 wickets in the second innings. We failed to take 10 wickets against Australia in all 4 innings. We failed to take 10 wickets when we versed Sri Lanka, when we went to Sri Lanka. You remember the series where the first game, we could have actually won the game, but then the tail actually came back and scored, and then they declared. We didn't even take 10 wickets there. And I think when you look at how we manage our bowlers, especially in conditions, we had a leading bowler in Roach. Let's be honest, I love Kemar Roach, but in this final test match, final test inning, what did he actually? He didn't really contribute with the ball, but he's your leading bowler, or he's supposed to be your leading bowler, especially when you look at the fact that we had Mayers and Holder bowling spin. I mean, there's something has gone wrong there when you're thinking 2 seamers are bowling spin bowling. Like, I think what's going on there? We're not picking. And I remember when we versed Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, it was Chase who ended up taking like 6 wickets, and we had Permal and Warrican who took hardly anything. So we have to start looking at our away bowling when we're going to conditions. Like, I think Thomas took 2 wickets against Australia, and we only took 7 wickets in total. I mean, when your wicketkeeper, who wasn't even supposed to be playing, is taking wickets, you have to start questioning the bowling in foreign conditions. Like, we bowl very well at home, but I think as a collective, we don't pick based on the conditions that we see. And I think it's clear we had 3 seamers or 4 frontline seamers. How many of them did we use on that final day to take 10 wickets? And we failed to take 10 wickets.
Listen, you've raised a very important point, Santoki tweeted something from our handle earlier today, which Santoki was, because Santoki and I often talk about this point. Probably in the last 10 to 15 years of me watching West Indies, we've developed a habit, which I think is unique to us. West Indies are good at getting into competitive to winning positions. So we if you actually go and look at our performances, we'll get a side 200 for 6, and you'll be like, yeah, gonna bowl them out for under 250. Next time we look, 450 for 9 declared. We have a knack. We have a knack of doing these.
Do you remember when we versed England in England on the second test match? And I remember this because I was there. The second test match after we won the first test match, and we were on day 4, and we're thinking, there's no way we can lose from here, because there's 2 more teams to back. We have 2 more innings left, and we just collapsed. And I just think in away conditions, I think people like Kemar Roach, who rely on swing, who rely on green grassy pitches, when you can see that there is no grass, after the first 20 overs, they don't add anything. And I think the last time we had a successful seamer who bowled away, who was quick, was Gabriel. And I know people are going to say, oh, bringing Gabriel back, but I think on pitches that are docile, on pitches that aren't swinging in the air, you're not getting great movement laterally or vertically, you need someone who has an X factor. And I think we don't have that, whether it's with the spin bowling. Could you imagine us going to India? What spin bowler are we going to take to India to compete with their spinners? Absolutely none.
Obviously, Ruston, Chase.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's actually embarrassing, the fact that we're saying this, because you compare us to any other team, they all got a top team. You got a frontline spinner who can play in your home conditions and away conditions. Our bowlers are suited only for West Indian conditions. It does.
Do you know what? I think you're actually right. Do you know what? I'd probably slyly, I'd say English conditions to an extent, but we just don't have, and I genuinely believe this. There's 2 points you've raised, which I think are both correct. I don't think we have a killer instinct, generally, if we're outside of the Caribbean. I don't think we've got a killer instinct with our bowling. And actually, I agree with you. I think we play our best bowlers. I think we play what we think are our best bowlers, but not the conditions. We don't play the conditions, right? So I did a video, I can't remember if it was a live, before the test match, and I said, who should we pick for the Zimbabwe test? And that exact point that you made is what I made on that video. I said, right, more than likely, Moti's going to play, Joseph is going to play. And I said, we're going to have to make a decision between Roach or Gabriel. And the point I made was, if you want somebody who you can give it to for 3 or 4 overs and the pitch is flat, you have to pick Gabriel because you know he can make
Exactly.
it hostile for any batter in the world. We went with Roach. Now, I've got nothing against Kemar Roach. Kemar Roach is fantastic in certain conditions. But if you read that pitch of a morning, like we chose to bat, that means you knew it was flat. And it was
That
like,
means you're going to that means you intend to go to the final day needing to take
Right.
10 wickets, or
Right,
if you need to
exactly.
take 10 wickets.
So I just wonder, like Roach is the locker room leader. So I just wonder if sometimes it's like, well, we have to play him because, well, he's the guy. But it might not be the...
Roach could be like a Wokes for us. You know, Wokes is amazing in English conditions, and you can't drop him in English conditions. But when you take him outside of English, like I remember when we versed Bangladesh in the second test match, where we ended up bowling them out. I mean, I think Roach didn't even bowl more than 10 overs. We needed 10 wickets. In that final day, we needed 10 wickets. We needed 10 wickets today. And when you got a frontline bowler who's supposed to be the head of the dressing room, he's not bowling the bulk of your bowling, the bulk of your deliveries, then you've missed the trick there.
Yeah, you've got your selection wrong. Yeah, you've got that. If we're gonna be critical, but it's constructive critique, somewhere the selection went wrong.
Of course,
go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, like, we can blame the rain all we want, but it's not isolated in just this game. We failed to take 10 wickets once in Australia. We didn't take 10 wickets once. So, and multiple of times we've seen this team just fail to, whether it's the cream off the tail or they just don't bowl the team out at all. Abroad, we just need to improve. But I want to say, though, I think Brathwaite gets a bad shake as a captain. I think Brathwaite is a very good captain because one thing I will say is he has a philosophy, and whether the philosophy is negative or whatever, regardless, everybody in that team works to that philosophy, and I think he deserves so much credit for that, because you said it before the live started, West Indies aren't a good enough team to just try and win. You have to put yourself in a position where you can't lose first, and you need a captain like that who thinks, okay, let's make sure we're in a good position where we can't lose, and then if we can win, we try. And I think when you don't have the individuals, you need a leader who's willing to just minimize the risks. And I think that's what he does. I think he's a good captain. I think he's a terrific captain. But I didn't want to take too much of your time, so thanks for having me.
No, do you know what though? I want to just hail up that last thing you said there, because I've not heard someone express it like that before, and I think that's a really good way. Because I've long respected Craig's captaincy, and I know some people have got issues with his like field placing and stuff like that. But I actually think Craig's quite innovative. Not necessarily with his field placings, but it's not often that I think Craig lets the game drift. I think he does actually try things, but he might not try the right things. But I don't think he just lets a game get away from himself. But this actually goes full circle to your point. Your team is only as good as the resources that you've got, right?
Do you remember he tried to be aggressive in the field against Pakistan in the second test match? He tried to be aggressive in the field in the second test match. Like Babar Azam was just hitting us all over the park. We don't have the bowlers to do that.
Yeah. Actually, he tried it in Australia as well, because I remember... I can't remember which test match it was, but the Aussie commentators were cussing him, saying, why has this guy got so many slips in? And I was thinking, at the time, so wait, you want to cuss him when he's defensive? You want to cuss him when he's trying to be proactive? What do you want us to do? What exactly do you want us to do? But you've raised a very, very good argument. It's something I'm going to go away and think about. Is our bowling actually good, particularly outside of the region?
I mean,
go on. Sorry,
I was going to say, how many captains can you say have avoided defeat? Like, what do you always hear Brathwaite talk about? We have to bat 100 overs. We have to bat 100 overs. He always says that. So there's a clear ethos that we are going to take as much time out of the game as we can to at least make sure we don't lose. He's failed to lose, I think, 70% of the games he's captained. I think we lost twice to Australia, which was expected. We lost once to Pakistan, and we lost twice to South Africa. Every other game he's failed. He's either got a draw or a win. His philosophy, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, it's working for what he has, and I have to give him credit for that.
Who do you consider? Last thing, Demo, I know you're there, by the way, Demo. So Demo sent me a message, people saying, listen, I want you and Shane to be able to go to bed. But don't worry, Demo. My sleep pattern's mash up already, so I might as well stay up. Shane, who do you actually think are our wicket-taking bowlers in 2023? So
in terms of away from home or just in general?
I think when you look at, let's just talk now, right now. When you look at our side, who do you look at and go, yep, they're going to give me a burst of wickets right now?
I think Azari Joseph always has a spell in him because I think he's improved drastically. And one thing I think I like about Azari Joseph is he's becoming a thinking bowler. He's becoming a thinking bowler. So I like that about Azari Joseph. Before, it was just see how quick I can release the ball out of my hand. He's becoming a thinking bowler. I think, honestly, and I was saying this before, Jason Holder is no longer the best all-rounder in the world. He's no longer the best all-rounder in the team. I think Kyle Mayers, because I think for his ability to constantly test the outside edge and constantly be on fourth, third stump constantly, I think he will take wickets for us. I mean, it does depend on the conditions. Again, it does depend on the conditions, but I think someone I'm not heavily impressed with Multi. I'm actually more impressed with the little spell I saw of batting that he's done his bowling, to be honest. I like his aggressive batting more than anything. In terms of bowlers, again, away from home, I'm not a massive fan of Jason Holder, period, in Test cricket. I just think he's way too negative. He lets batsmen get their eye in, and he bowls way too much wide outside the off stump. And yes, his economy is always low, but he doesn't bowl enough wicket-taking deliveries. And if you look at when Jason Holder tends to come in, especially in the West Indies, it's after we've taken a few wickets at the start. So we want someone who can continue that pace. And I just feel like I look at someone like Jaden Seals, who's, constantly trying to take wickets.
But Jaden's not there, I was trying to think, who are we missing? Jaden Seals isn't in the team right now, yeah.
No, he's not. Yeah. He's not in the team. And sorry, before I go, the last thing, Nkrumah Bonner, I heard this. Nkrumah Bonner has to be our number 3 batsman. There's no two ways around it. Nkrumah Bonner has to be a number 3 batsman, because regardless how you look at it, the 2 opening batsmen pick itself. But I think when you look at the style that Brathwaite wants to play, Mayers, Blackwood, Chase, Holder, they always get out, playing outside of the off stump. They don't show the temperament to continue and stay in. If Brathwaite or Chanderpaul get out, you need someone in that top 4 that can say, you know what, I'm going to stick it through and I'm going to continue soaking up deliveries. None of those batsmen do that. So you do need someone, and Nkrumah Bonner has shown tendencies. We saw against Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, so I think he has to be the one.
So why is he not playing then?
I have no idea.
Listen, Shane, before I let you go, how have you randomly just turned up right now? Look at all these episodes you've ever done, and you're just turning up.
I'm always in the comment section from time to time, but you know what? I find this channel so amazing, so I just watch it and I was like, oh, you guys do a calling show. Normally it's so I always watch it on the playback. I just thought, and I've always wanted to figure out how to support it, because obviously I know you have a Patreon, and I'm I'm just trying to figure out how to sign up and stuff like that. But I'm literally trying to figure out how to support it, because I literally love this. There's nobody else who actually talks about West Indies cricket like you guys do. So I'm a massive fan. Massive fan.
You know how you support it? You just tell people. That's all they have to do, Just tell people we exist.
But obviously you do have a Patreon as well, so that's something I have to sign up to. Literally probably see me sign up by the end of the day. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't even know that until obviously I know you always shout it out, but I never knew how to actually click it.
Listen, Shane, every time I do one of these lives, I come across somebody new. I'm like, how have we never spoken? Listen, next time we're in the lives, make sure you come through, man.
Definitely, man. I follow you guys on Instagram as well, so it's just good to see the work on Instagram and on YouTube. But thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries, man. Take care. Get some sleep. Demo don't want me to have no sleep, but you get some sleep.
Love, man.
No worries. Take care.
Right.
Right. Right. People were in the last person. Listen, love that from Shane. See, that's what I'm saying. The community, man. The community's everywhere. You don't even know where people are at who want to talk, who love West Indies cricket and just want to talk on it, people. Listen, last guest is Demo, sorry. Demo, I want to go and get a glass of water, but boy, let me now let's bring Demo. I'm gonna sort out everyone. Last guest, people. Demo, perfect person to end the live and show with. Yes, Demo, how you doing?
Listen, boss, I don't know how I'm supposed to go after that, bro. How am I supposed to go after Shane? Yo, I needed him. Like, no, I needed him to be on. So I was wondering if I could use my 2 minutes with him on. I have no problem in sharing my time. So if he can come back on with me, because I needed to ask him some questions, bro. He needs to get a YouTube channel or so. The guy he's amazing. A breath of fresh air.
So hold on.
If he could come back and you can get your water, because I needed to ask him. Let me
just check, Shane. If you're still watching the live, I don't know. He may have signed out now, but Shane, if you're still watching the live, press the link, and we're gonna bring you back because.
Money pull up.
He may not come back, Demo. He may not come back, so it might just be you and me for all I know. But come, what are you saying anyways?
Yeah. But here's the thing. Again, big up Shane. So I wanted to make some points about Brathwaite as well, and like I said, he's my guy. Always been a fan and all of that stuff. But one of the things, or a couple of things that I'm critical about, because I heard the reason why Reefer is playing is pretty much because of him. Yeah, because the coach he's new, and basically the captain gets a say mostly on the team selection because the coach is new and stuff. So Bayesian thing. Yeah, that's one. And the second thing is the fact that he said Mayers is supposed to be one of our attacking bowlers. To me, is something that I'm very critical of Craig for as well, because Craig seems to use him to just come and take a wicket and then take him off. And for me, it's ridiculous. Like, every time he comes, he breaks a partnership and you just pull him off, bro. Like, let him continue. Like, he always comes, he always delivers, he always takes wickets, he always causes problems, and it's something that is always continuing with Craig every time. When Mears comes and cause a lot of problems, takes a wicket, take him off.
So check this out. The second innings, where Zimbabwe, we bowled 54 overs at Zimbabwe in the second innings. Mayers bowled one of them, and that was him trying to bowl some leg spin or something. Now, no, but do you know what, Dima? We have to be critical of it because there were times in that. I'm not saying that we could have won them. I mean, we could have won the match, but what I mean is, the one thing you know from Mayers, based on his Test career thus far, is he makes things happen. And this is where I am critical of Craig a bit. So let me bring up the scorecard again. So Kimar bowled 3, Alzari bowled 5, Jason bowled 5, and Kyle Mayers bowled 1. So that's 14 overs out of the 54 between the seamers on the final day when you're trying to chase 10 wickets. And I'm not saying the seamers could have got wickets, but we have to be there has to be constructive criticism here. Yeah. And I just the one thing that Mayers can do is he can manipulate the ball to get some swing, even if it's not swinging. Sometimes he can get those in swingers, those in duckers. Exactly. I just think we missed a trick. I'm not sure. I'd love to know. Like I say, was it to just rest them? Like, I don't know. I'd love to know what.
No, but the thing is, we always do it. And remember, he came back from the injury and started bowling. So I don't know if he can't bowl long spells or whatever, because obviously he had the injury and he's coming back and whatever. But it's something that is so consistent. Like, he comes, he bowls like a 5-over spell, takes 2 wickets, and then you just pull him and bring back the so-called strike bowlers. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, he's the one striking. Why you take him off? Let him bowl still. You know what I mean? So that's something I'm critical of for Craig for. And like I said, he's my guy. But Shane made the point so well that everyone in this team, and you have captains, some are very boisterous and loud and like Pollard like, and they lead in that way. And then you have Craig, who's not pretty much not outspoken and loud and boisterous or whatever, but he leads from the front, and that's what he's doing. And the team itself, like you can see, everybody wants to bat long now. Everybody wants to soak up deliveries and bat long and value the wicket. You know what I mean? Let's see. Reefer come, he made 2 from 17 deliveries. I mean, maybe that's lack of ability. I don't know, but but he's trying to soak up deliveries as well. Like everybody's trying to do it, and the Silva and stuff. All right. So shout out to Shane for pointing that out as well. And one of the last things that I want to mention is the fact that the rain came, right? I think that's why we lost the game, for me personally. And I was mentioning to you that there's outcry. If you listen to a lot of the radio stations back in Jamaica, people are calling in and why them bat too slow and why them couldn't and fine. For me, there were periods in the game. I think there at one point the openers, they were struggling. Well, maybe not struggling. They just didn't want to give the wicket away. Maybe that time they were batting too slow. But Mash, how many after Zimbabwe declared and dangled the carrot for us to try to get a result? How many overs would you want to bowl at Zimbabwe? Like after everything that happened, the rain came, they had to bat and declare and all that. How many overs do we realistically think that we would need to bowl out a team? Anybody would have taken 54 overs.
I was gonna say, because we set them 272, I think, from 54 overs. To be fair, that's dangling the carrot to say, do you want to go for it? So I think it would be wrong to say the side was negative to declare when they declare, because technically a better side than Zimbabwe goes for that.
That's my point. And so for me, I don't think that, and this isn't just in cricket, I think in football too, for those who watch football or whatever, we don't tend to give opposition credit. And so I'm so happy that the first caller pointed out balance, because his innings, like it's pretty much what made Zimbabwe draw the game. And the guy who made the 50, he played well as well. So sometimes we have to give opposition credit and not just say, listen, we were poor all the time and whatnot. Opposition, we're not playing against ourselves here. You know what I mean? And you pointed out the stats that Gary Balance, 4 test centuries for England in 23 games, So he was a major factor. And so I'm not too fussed about what the outcome was, because the rain for me was a deciding factor in all of this. I think that if there was no rain, we would have won the game. But then here we go. So
and I'm just
Go on. No, I was just going to say, because you're going to ask the last question in terms of who would I change.
So
for me, I'm rotating Roach and Gabriel, because obviously both of them struggling with injuries and they can't seem to stay fit, and so Roach will be out for me and Shannon comes in. I am actually not going to drop Reefer now because he made that the runs, but I'm going to drop Chase and Reefer slots down, and I'm bringing Bonner back in the team so he can, because like I said in the first stream, he obviously has to play against South Africa. There's no reason you're not going to play him to get any form of batting under his belt before he goes to South Africa. If that happens, I am not even going to watch the series against South Africa, because it make no sense. Like the guy is going to play in South Africa, he has to bat and get some batting under his belt, because he just got hit versus Australia, obviously short on confidence, and you're going to take a man who's short of confidence without batting any at all against Narkia and Rabada and all of these guys bowling nearly 95 miles an hour. Like, it makes no sense. So for me, he comes in and Reefer goes on a slot and chases out to the team.
One thing I just want to say before you go, what makes even less sense to me is Reefer and Bonner both played the warm-up game, and neither of them made runs. So I would so
you can't, or you pick Reefer because he made runs over Bonner. That's not it.
So there was literally nothing to use to say this is why we're giving Reefer the game because he
I
hadn't.
told you it's the Craig
If
effect,
you aren't,
bro.
well, if you aren't if you're not the incumbent, the onus is on you to make a sheer number of runs that forces them to have to select you. Now, if you don't make any runs, how are you jumping over the man whose actual spot you're taking? That doesn't. So I'm with you. If Bonner doesn't play in this second test, he can't play versus South Africa because I think you're setting him up to fail by doing that.
Exactly my point. So,
but
we'll
then,
see.
but if that's what happens, one of the videos I'll then do after that is how did we end up in a situation where we dropped in Nkrumah Bonner? How did we ever allow ourselves to get into that situation where? And let's be honest. The first year of Bonner's Test career, he averaged 42 or 43 in 2021. In 2022, he averaged 33. Right. The only reason I'm making that point is that's currently better than what Jermaine Blackwood averaged last year, right?
Yeah.
And possibly even Carl. No, I need to check with Carl Mayers. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is if Reefer was going to come in, you'd be dropping someone else before you drop Bonner. So it's all part of my kind of rationale when I look at things where I'm like, just show me the cricket logic and I'll accept it. That's all I want to see. Show me the cricket logic, help me understand, and then I'll step away and say, okay, I get it. But no one's helping me understand where the logic was in
I'm trying to help you, bro, but you don't want to hear it. I'm trying to help you. And the person who told me that, by the way, they're really close friends with Nkrumah. So, you know, I'm not saying Nkrumah told him that. I'm not saying anything like that. But Craig pretty much had 80% of the say at what the team would be, because the coach is so new.
Well, I'm willing to accept that, and the only reason I'm willing to accept that argument is because Andre Coley is a former Jamaica Scorpions head coach. Andre Coley was the head coach when Blackwood and Bonner made all those runs, and John Campbell that got them back into the West Indies side. I think Blackwood topped the run scoring charts that year. Bonner was in the top 5. Campbell was in the top 5. Coley was the head coach. So if anybody knows what Bonner can do, is Andre Coley. You really think Andre Coley's not going to want to carry Bonner when he knows what Bonner can do?
Say no more, bro. Say no more. So big up. Go get some rest, bro.
Yeah. Listen, people, I'm about to let Demo go, but I did promise before the show was out that I'd do the ratings for the test match. So before everybody goes, if you haven't pressed like or subscribe or shared this, do that now. I'm going to let Demo go, and then anyone who's still in the chat, I'm just going to give you my ratings for the test match, and then we're out. So people, thank you, Demo, by the way. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Hakeem. Thank you, Mr. Lover. Thank you, Faraz. Thank you, Rahul. Have I missed anyone out? Thank you, anybody who came on the show today. Love all that. We'll have to start calling this the Caribbean Cricket Podcast radio show. But very quickly, last thing before I go, the ratings for the match. Tagenarine Chanderpaul scored 222 runs in the test match. His maiden century, technically his maiden double century. I think his test average right now must be like 80-something. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. By all means, put your comments put your ratings in the comments as well. But Tagenarine Chanderpaul, you can't get a better test match debut than that. Well, Carl Mayers may beg to differ, but 10 out of 10 for Tagenarine Chanderpaul. Craig Brathwaite led from the front again, recorded his 12th test match century, 182 runs in the first innings, which kind of set the match up for the West Indies. I mean, I guess with Craig, you have to also look at his captaincy. Demo just said it. Could we have some constructive criticism about Craig's captaincy in that second innings when we were bowling? If captaincy counts in terms of rating Craig's performance, then it's got to be 8 out of 10. If it's just based on what he did with the bat and his 182, then it's got to be 9 out of 10. So that's Craig for me. Number 3, Reefer, had to make quick runs in the first innings, so I don't know how much we count that. And then he made his maiden test match 50. I think it was his maiden test match 50. Let me just double check that. Was that his maiden test match 50 or played versus New Zealand that time? His maiden test match 50. 58 off 110 balls or something like that. he's made sure that he should play in the second test match. A 50 should mean that he keeps his spot. Bowled like 3 overs, I think, in the match. What do we give Reefer? Maiden test match 50. 6.5 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10 because he got a 50. Let's be nice to him. 7 out of 10. Number 4, Jermaine Blackwood. Again, another person in the first innings who had to come in and make quick runs, and therefore fell very quickly. But in the second innings, he made 57, his 17th test match 50. I think that 57 came in pretty good time as well. I think it was like 57 off 70 balls, which helped. What? 007 says 4 out of 10 for Reefer. You can't give a man who got a test match 50 a 4 out of 10. But at the bare minimum, he's got to get 6. And it's his maiden one as well. But Jermaine Blackwood, 57, I think, off like 65 balls. He helped up the ante when we were trying to score runs quickly on the final day. Listen, maybe I gave Reefer too much for 7. If Reefer is 6.5, let's say Reefer 6.5, then Blackwood's got to get the same for getting a test match 50. So 6 or 6.5. Who's number 5? Carl Mayers or was it Chase? Can't remember. Let's say Mayers. So Mayers made 37 runs in the test match, 20 off like 24 in the first innings. He played a key role in accelerating the innings. And then 17 in the second innings. Didn't really contribute per se with the bat. Took no wickets with the ball. Although he was tidy. He was tidy in the first innings for sure. His economy he bowled 11 overs across the match, none for 28. Economy of 2.54. How much would you give Mayers? 5 out of 10? 4 out of 10? 4 or 5 out of 10? Is that harsh? 4 or 5 out of 10? So that sounds like he had a bad match, but I don't think he had a bad match. He just didn't really make a meaningful contribution for me. So it's 4 or 5 out of 10. Roston Chase, 21 runs in the match, highest score of 14. Never really got himself in either innings. Gave it away both times. Then on the final day today, he took 2 for 9. When we were chasing an improbable victory, he got 2 wickets with his off spin. After all the criticism of him being a second spinner, he got 2 wickets. For the 2 wickets, here's my thing though. Remember, Chase is now in the side in the top 6. So primarily you have to rate him on what he does with the bat because he's now in the side to bat, right? If he got those 2 wickets in Australia, I'd give him a higher rating because he was in that side to bowl because he was batting at number 8. Now he's back in the top 6. I have to first and foremost look at what he did with the bat, and he didn't contribute anything. So, but for the 2 wickets, 4 out of 10 for Chase. 4 out of 10, I think, for Chase. Maybe 5 at best. Who's number 7? Holder. 11 runs in the test match. Batted once, though, in fairness. 11 runs. Dropped a catch, which may have changed the match. Took 2 wickets for 68. 2 for 55 in the second innings. In the first innings. I don't know, people. Holder looks kind of... Would it be wrong to say that Holder doesn't... Would it be harsh to say that he looks a bit ineffective with the ball? And his batting has fallen off, But he did take 2 wickets. He took those 2 wickets when Zimbabwe had long gone past the follow-on. So they were kind of inconsequential in some senses. 4 out of 10? 4 out of 10? Some of you might even give it lower, to be fair. 4 out of 10? He dropped a catch as well. Number 8 was Josh De Silva. He made 12 runs in the test match, of which 9 was an unbeaten, 9 not out. He only faced 22. No, he only faced 10 balls in the test match. So I don't even know if you can really... How many catches did Josh take in the match? Let me just look. How many catches did this guy take? 1, 2, 3. 3 in the first innings. 3 and so 6 catches in the match. And before anyone says to me, Mash, you can't rate him based on catches. Well, he had nothing to do. He took a nice one down the leg side, actually, off Roston Chase. But he only faced 10 balls in a test match. So I feel like we can't really rate Josh, because if we're rating him, you have to rate him for the 6 catches. I thought he was tidy behind the stumps. Let's just give him a solid 5 or solid 6, because he couldn't. There was, sorry, people, I'm trying to get something. There was nothing for him to make he couldn't get his teeth into that match with the bat, if you see what I mean. But he took 6 catches. So let's give him a solid 6. Who was number 8? Was it Alzari? Alzari, 3 wickets in the test match for 94 runs. Best bowling figures of 3 for 75 in the first innings. I actually thought that across the piece, although the stats don't tell you that because Multi took 6 wickets, I actually thought Alzari was the most threatening bowler. I know it only says 3 wickets, but he was the only bowler in the match at any point where I was like, yeah, you might do something still. And remember, in the second innings, he only bowled 5 overs. Of the 54 overs that were bowled, he only bowled 5. So I actually think Alzari had a good test match. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 for Alzari. Easily our best seamer. Easily the most menacing and threatening seamer. But didn't really, like, Brathwaite didn't use him in the second test match. So he didn't really get into his work in the second test match. 7 out of 10 for Alzari. Multi. Did Multi get a bat? Multi didn't get a bat. Multi took 6 wickets. 6 wickets across the match for 160 runs. Best bowling was in the second innings when we were trying to chase victory, 4 for 50. It's going to sound harsh, right? I think Multi's contribution... Multi's bowling was tidy, but his contribution was more... How do I explain this to people? His contribution was more valuable than his actual bowling. Do you catch my drift with that? Like, he was tidy, and I liked it, but I haven't yet got to sink my teeth into his work to know how threatening Multi is. Obviously, some of you will say, Mash, he took 6 wickets. Of course, he's threatening, but I need a bit more. I need a bit more evidence of his work before I can truly say, yeah, he's the one. But 6 wickets. He took 6 wickets for 160 runs across the match. And we have to rate that. So we have to give him 007 says 7.5 or 8, and I agree. 7.5 or 8 for Multi, depending on how you viewed the total number of wickets he got versus how threatening he looked to you in terms of the eye test. Number 10 was... No, actually, have I done everyone? Have I missed someone out? Who have I missed out? Oh, maybe I've done everyone. Except Kemar Roach. So Kemar Roach, 1 wicket in the match, 51 runs conceded, economy 2.83. Shane, when he was on earlier, probably made the point. I mean, I just don't think Roach looked that threatening, people. He was tidy, but did you ever get the sense that he was going to get loads of wickets? I didn't. 4 out of 10? 4? Is that too much? Boy, I don't know. You lot are saying 2, 3, 1, 1.5. He wasn't bad. Come on, you can't give him 1 because he wasn't bad. I'm just saying he weren't threatening. He didn't look like he was going to take anything more than 1 wicket for me. But then the pitch was dead. So I'm going to say 4 out of 10. I'm going to be nice and say 4 out of 10 because he was tidy without ever looking truly threatening. Sanjay says 4's too much. Okay, I'm giving him 3, but I want you lot to know that's because you lot said 3. So should Kemarv watch this, I only gave 3 because the crowd said 3. So, see, Paul says 4 out of 10. You got to give him a break. Yeah, I think it was a flat deck, and yeah, but then again, if you're selected to take wickets, you're selected to take wickets. Right, listen, people, what a show! Oh my god, my eyes are stinging. 1 hour, and we're just shy of 1 hour and 50 minutes. That's been another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, the live call-in show. You lot love a live call-in show. If you're still here, make sure you press like and subscribe before the show finishes. The next episode Oh, look out for that tomorrow. Sorry. So tomorrow morning, we are recording an episode with the interim head coach, Andre Coley. We're recording that on YouTube, not live, but we'll record it via YouTube. So it'll be out straight away. So look out for that episode to drop on YouTube about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then obviously eventually it'll turn up on the different podcast streams, Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, so on and so forth. But look out for that episode dropping tomorrow, and then I'm going to try and do one on the West Indies women's team on Friday night, or maybe Friday as well. So look out for that stuff, people. Follow the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Thank you for being with us tonight. Enjoy your evening wherever you are in the world, or if you're going to bed or whatever it might be, and catch you soon. Peace.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rule seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.